Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. He only said that to one church, people. So I've titled the message, Prepare the Way for the Lord, the Return of the King. The King of Kings, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the one and only. So turn with me to Isaiah chapter 40, 3 through 5. Isaiah chapter 40, 3 through 5. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way for the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. John the Baptist, the last of the Old Testament prophets, he brought this message. Oh, and it was his joy to do so. Isaiah 43. This John the Baptist, he said these words, he must become greater, I must become less. He must become greater, and I must become less. I find my identity in Christ. I must become less. I must set aside the things of this world, the desires of the flesh, and I must elevate my King. He's returning, people. He says he's coming on the clouds and he's bringing his reward with him.
Hallelujah.
I identify with John the Baptist today because the message that I'm bringing to you is for the believers. The unbelievers, they don't have this hope, this promise. We need to prepare ourselves for the Lord's return. We need to set the path straight. We need to bring the valleys up and the mountains low. He is worthy of our praise, and he's worthy for a straight path right through the middle to separate the sheep from the goats. My church, I look out there and I see you, and I love you. I look into your eyes, and you know my stories, and you love me anyways. That's why I think that this church of Philadelphia, who's the only one Jesus spoke to like this, the only one where he said he's going to keep them from the hour of temptation that comes upon the whole earth. We must sanctify ourselves and make ourselves worthy. Not that we can be worthy, but by his blood do that which he has commanded, and do that which we know is right, which is to lay down this life that we would find it in him. Turn with me to Matthew 5:13 through 16. Matthew 5:13 through 16. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is henceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Amen. He is our light. We have no righteousness of our own, but if we dwell in him and we walk in spirit and in truth, our light shines. We sanctify ourselves to prepare for the coming of the King. We set this life down and we seek his nature and his character. Turn with me to James chapter 4, 7 through 8. James chapter 4, 7 through 8. This one's in my heart. Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Sanctify ourselves. Prepare the way for the Lord. This is a promise. I was in my closet, and I was reading his word, and I was so in awe of how living and breathing his word is. In the King James, it says powerful and quick. I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking, gosh, I need to read the whole thing to them. Amen. I was thinking how I had been denying myself the life that comes from these precious words, this living and breathing word of God. Thank you, God. I don't see why I can't pray now. I should have done it at the beginning. Pray with me. Lord God, we come before you, and we ask that you would allow us to sanctify ourselves by your Spirit, that we would seek your nature and your character, that we would be faithful and unbending, Lord, that we would seek your face and walk in spirit and in truth. Lord, that we would prepare ourselves and prepare our hearts, Lord, for your return. We love you, God. We praise you. Amen. Your people praise you, and your people love you, Lord. Lord, fill them with your Spirit. Fill this place with your Spirit, and let your word be heard, and let your praises be sang in all the earth. We love you. Let us know you more. In Jesus' name, amen. Turn with me to Philippians 4:8. Oh, God's word is so good. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on such things. Sanctify yourself, church. You are the bride of Christ, and he is coming back for his blameless bride, who he paid the price for. He bought you with the price. He bought you with the price. Shall we stand aside and not take every thought captive? Shall we not give up our vice? Shall we not confess our sins and turn from them and repent? Shall we not do all that we can do so that when he returns, he finds his bride in the best of her faithfulness? I always pray to God that I would have a faithful and unbending heart, that I would be a faithful and unbending man in his name. The blood of Christ is my treasure. So, the reason we think on these, whatever is true, whatever is lovely, if anything's admirable or excellent or praiseworthy, we think about these things to keep our minds off of the things that we shouldn't be focusing on. Because we take those thoughts captive and we cast them out in the name of Jesus. The Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee. Resist him. That's a promise. That's God's word. Resist him. Take the thought. Cast it out. Think about what's good, what's lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. We dwell on the things of God and the nature and the character of God. We seek to be the children of God that he made a way for us to be. I'm so grateful that he covered me. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me do, and the God of peace shall be with you. Turn with me to 2 Timothy 2:15. 2 Timothy 2:15. This verse you've heard many, many times, as have I. Trying to keep up with the teleprompter above my head. You know, they're pretty quick back there. Shouldn't have given them a heads up on what I was doing. So, Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Sanctify yourselves. Set yourself apart. Know his word. If you don't know his word, how are you going to pull out promises? If you don't know his promises, how are you going to claim them? I mean, do you have a promise on your heart? Delight yourself in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. Seek first his kingdom, and all else will be added unto you. Right? No weapon forged against you will prosper, and any tongue that accuses you, you will refute, for this is your vindication for the Lord. How about the one where he tells us that, that he's bringing us a reward. That's a promise. For those who believe on his name, for those who have received him. So sanctify yourselves individually. Sanctify yourself. Know his word. Find yourself approved. Get his promises written on your heart. Let the Spirit do the work within you. Because how are you going to overflow into somebody else unless he has you overflowing? Let's move on. Turn with me to Proverbs 27, 17. I love this verse. I wonder how the King James puts it for me here. Proverbs 27, 17. So, iron sharpeth iron, so one man sharpeth the countenance of his friend. In the NIV it says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. I think about my brotherhood. I think about my fellowship, my sweet fellowship with you all. I find my Lord here with you. I find him. I feel closest to heaven when I am amongst his children. Let's sanctify one another. Let's set each other apart as holy and sharpen one another that we may prepare the way for the Lord, because he's coming. He's coming again. He's good. He's worthy. He's worthy for a straight path. He's worthy that his people would hear and do. Be not only hearers of the word, but be doers. Be doers of the word. He told us what he wanted from us. And there's one out of all those churches that are going to be kept from the hour of temptation. I see that church's love in your eyes. There was a lot of churches that the Lord spoke to, but only one that he said he was going to keep them from that which was coming on the entire earth. Turn with me to John chapter 13, verse 13 and 14. Okay. 13, verse 13 and 14. Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. This one is humbling. You got the King of Kings here in this story. And he tells Peter, if you don't let me wash your feet, I will have no part with you. The Lord, he said, Lord, well, if you're going to wash my feet, wash my whole body. Wash my whole body. He said, a person that's had a bath doesn't need to be washed. They only need their feet washed. They used to walk around in the dirt out there, right? Well, what's funny is the Lord covered us with his blood. He washed us clean.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Lord.
Cleansed us from our unrighteousness. He cleansed us from our unrighteousness. Oh, hallelujah.
Right. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. He's worthy. Wash one another's feet. Sanctify one another. Let's prepare the way for the Lord. He's coming. Turn with me to Ecclesiastes 4, 9 to 12. Ecclesiastes 4, 9 to 12. I was almost there. Oh. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie down together, then they have heat. But how can one keep warm alone? And if one prevaileth against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Brotherhood helps us. Brotherhood. I asked Brother Richard to pray for me last week or a week and a half ago or so because I was struggling at work. And he did. And no weapon forged against me was prospered. And no tongue that accused me was upheld. And the Lord gave me an apt reply and found me innocent of an accusation. Brotherhood, right? Brotherhood. Seek one another for help. Don't lay down in your sin. Don't lay down in your sin. Make war against your sin. I heard that in a message. I think it was from a man named John Piper. It was a pretty good message. Make war against your sin. Turn. Repent. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is near. Okay, turn with me. John chapter 17, 20 and 21. Page 856. John chapter 17, verse 20 and 21. This is Jesus, the King. This is right before he's arrested. He's praying for his disciples. Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they may be in one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me. That the world may believe that thou hast sent me. If we come together in his Spirit, if we become one bride, one body. If we come together, the world may believe that Christ was sent by God. There's another verse here. It's a sweet verse. John chapter 13:35. John chapter 13:35. So just back a little bit. 53. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. It's our love for one another. It's our love for one another that the world knows that we are his disciples, that we are sent by God as his children, and we are witnesses unto them, and that he is real. Let's sanctify each other. Let's do this. Let's prepare the way for the Lord. He says he's coming. He's coming. So, I'm moving to Matthew 28:19 to 20. Many of you have read this. It's the Great Commission. He tells us that we go into all the world and make disciples. And that's what he commanded us to do. I'm going to read it to you. Everybody's heard it, but I'm going to read it again because this is part of preparing the way for the Lord. For it's God's will that none would perish, but all would come to the knowledge of the truth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you, and lo, I am with you even until the end of the world. Amen. It's the will of God that none would perish and all would come to the knowledge of the truth. When he returns, what's he going to find? Will we have sanctified ourselves? Will we have loved one another? Will we have loved our brother? Will we be found in unforgiveness? Where will we be found? How did Jesus say it here? Matthew chapter 24, verses 45 to 47. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. I pray that our church be kept from the hour of temptation that comes on the whole world. I pray that we sanctify ourselves and that we be found with our households in order. You just trust and rely and depend upon the Lord. Seek him. Desire to know him more. I want to be found with my household in order. I want him to come here, and I want him to say good and faithful servant to all of us.
Amen.
If we don't lay down this life, that won't be what he's saying. He says if you lay down your life, you'll find it. If you pick it up, you're going to lose it. There can't be anything here that you want more than him. Lord, prepare our hearts for your coming. Lord, prepare us for your return. Lord, call the unbelievers by your mighty name. Lord, we love you. Let's go to the end of the Bible. Nobody ever gets to the end. Revelation chapter 22, 12 through 15. Last page. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs and sorcerers, whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. You know who's out there too? Those who wanted to keep their life. Those who didn't lay it down for the Lord. You must love him above all else. In comparison, Jesus said that your family, you got to love them more than your family. In comparison, it's like the east is into the west. He's coming and he's bringing his reward with him. I titled this message, Prepare the Way for the Lord, the Return of the King, because the time is here. The birth pains have come. And we need to be prepared, for he's worthy to find his bride in order. We need to sanctify ourselves. We need to love one another, that the world would know that we're his disciples. We need to be giving the good news to everybody that we see. Do you know the Lord Jesus? Do you know the Lord Jesus? Do you know the Lord Jesus? My King is coming on the clouds and everybody is going to see it. My God said he goes away to prepare a place for me. And if it wasn't so, he would not have told me. Jesus is Lord. Proclaim with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God rose him from the dead and you will be saved and have everlasting life. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever would believe in him will be saved. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you. It's God's will that none should perish, but all would come to the knowledge of the truth. If you don't know the Lord Jesus, if you draw near to God, he will draw near to you, because that is the word of God and it is infallible. Amen. If any of you out there don't know the Lord Jesus, we do. Oh. Today's the day of salvation. And nobody's promised tomorrow. I urge you, if you do not know the Lord Jesus, to accept him into your heart today, for nobody knows what tomorrow will bring. We are like grass that withers. We're here today and we're gone. The wages of sin is death.
Yep.
Jesus loves you. And so do I. And he laid down his life for you and poured out his blood.
Hallelujah.
That whosoever would believe in him, they would be covered. That their sin would be cast as far as the east is unto the west. Thank you, Lord. He has cleansed me from all unrighteousness by his blood. Just a wretched sinner that's saved by grace.
Amen.
Where sin abounds, grace abounds more. If you have sin in your life, confess it to the Lord. It's 1 John 1:9. It says that he is faithful and just to forgive you and cleanse you of all unrighteousness. If you don't know the story of the Lord Jesus, God sent his only Son, that whoever would believe in him would be saved. Jesus lived a sinless life, and he was worthy to be the sacrifice for the sinners. By his blood and by his wounds we're healed. Jesus said if you believe on the Son, then you're going to receive the Father. He said that if you deny the Son, you deny the Father. And you will reap the wages of your sin.